Gaza is a small strip of land along the Mediterranean Sea. It is one of the most densely populated areas in the world, with a population of over 2 million people living in just 140 square miles. This small piece of land has been at the center of conflict for decades, with its history marked by wars, blockades, and political strife. It has been a point of conflict for many years. The roots of the conflict can be traced back to the early 20th century, with the rise of nationalist movements among both Jews and Arabs in the region. The establishment of the State of Israel in 1948 led to the First Arab-Israeli War, which resulted in the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, many of whom ended up in Gaza. Israel occupied Gaza in 1967 after the Six-Day War. This occupation lasted for nearly 4 decades, during which time the region saw numerous uprisings, known as intifadas, and a continuous cycle of violence and retaliation. This began a long period of tension and violence. The people of Gaza have lived under constant threat, with frequent military operations and airstrikes causing widespread destruction and loss of life. In 2005, Israel withdrew its settlers and troops from Gaza. This move was seen as a step towards peace, but it did not bring an end to the conflict. Instead, it led to a power vacuum that was quickly filled by the militant group Hamas. However, Israel still controls Gaza's borders and airspace. This control has led to a blockade that restricts the movement of people and goods in and out of Gaza, severely impacting the economy and the daily lives of its residents. This control makes life very difficult for the people living in Gaza. The blockade has led to shortages of essential goods including food, medicine, and fuel, and has crippled the local economy, leading to high unemployment and poverty rates. The militant group Hamas controls Gaza. Since taking power in 2007, Hamas has been involved in several conflicts with Israel, launching rocket attacks and engaging in armed confrontations. They have fought many wars with Israel. These conflicts have resulted in significant casualties and destruction on both sides, with civilians often bearing the brunt of the violence. These conflicts have caused loss of life and destruction on both sides. The ongoing violence and instability have made it difficult to achieve a lasting peace, leaving the people of Gaza to continue living in a state of uncertainty and hardship. The most recent conflict erupted in month-year. Tensions were already high due to specific trigger for the recent conflict, for example, a court case regarding evictions in East Jerusalem. The situation escalated quickly with brief timeline of the escalation, for example, rocket fire from Gaza followed by airstrikes from Israel. This latest round of fighting was some of the worst in years. Many civilians were killed on both sides. The international community called for a ceasefire. After days of intense negotiations, a ceasefire was reached on date of ceasefire. Egypt played a key role in mediating the truce. The agreement calls for a complete stop to all violence. This includes rocket fire from Gaza and airstrikes by Israel. Both sides agreed to open border crossings. This will allow humanitarian aid into Gaza. It will also allow some goods to move in and out of the area. Section 4. Hopes and Doubts. The ceasefire was met with relief around the world. Leaders from various nations expressed their support, hoping this would be a step towards a more stable and peaceful future. The international community watched closely, eager to see if this fragile peace would hold. People in Gaza and Israel welcomed the pause in fighting. Celebrations erupted in the streets, with families and friends coming together to mark the end of violence, even if temporarily. The sense of relief was palpable as many had been living in fear and uncertainty. Many are hopeful that the truce will hold. There is a collective yearning for peace, a desire to return to normalcy, and to rebuild lives disrupted by conflict. Smiles and laughter filled the air, a stark contrast to the recent past. However, there are also doubts. The memories of past conflicts and broken promises linger. People are cautious, knowing that peace has been elusive and fragile. The uncertainty of the future weighs heavily on their minds. Previous ceasefires have often been short-lived. History has shown that despite the best intentions, maintaining peace is a complex and challenging task. The scars of past failures are still fresh, reminding everyone of the difficulties ahead. Some people are skeptical that this one will be any different. Voices of doubt and skepticism are heard in both communities. While some hold on to hope, others prepare for the worst, fearing that this ceasefire might just be another brief respite. There are calls for a more permanent solution. Diplomats and leaders emphasize the need for a lasting resolution, one that addresses the root causes of the conflict. Peace talks continue, with the hope that a sustainable agreement can be reached. This must address the underlying issues of the conflict. Humanitarian aid and rebuilding efforts are crucial, but so is addressing the political and social grievances that fuel the unrest. Only by tackling these core issues can true peace be achieved. Only then can there be a lasting peace. The vision of peaceful coexistence remains a distant dream for many, but it is a dream worth striving for. With continued effort and commitment, there is hope that one day, lasting peace will become a reality. Section 5. A fragile peace. The ceasefire is a fragile step towards peace. It marks a moment of respite in a region long plagued by conflict and suffering. The people of Gaza and Israel have endured years of violence, and this ceasefire offers a brief but significant pause. It is a chance for families to reunite, for children to play without fear, and for communities to begin the slow process of healing. It is important for both sides to honor the agreement. Trust is fragile and easily broken, and any violation could reignite hostilities. The ceasefire is not just a political agreement, it is a commitment to peace and a better future. Both Israeli and Palestinian leaders must show restraint and wisdom in these critical times. The international community must also play a role. Their support is crucial in maintaining the ceasefire and fostering dialogue. International organizations and foreign governments can provide the necessary resources and diplomatic pressure to ensure that both sides adhere to the terms of the agreement. They can also mediate and facilitate further negotiations. They can help to rebuild Gaza and address the humanitarian crisis. The region has been devastated by years of conflict, and the needs are immense. Humanitarian aid can provide immediate relief, while long-term development projects can help rebuild infrastructure, schools, and hospitals. This support is essential for the people of Gaza to recover and thrive. They can also work to restart peace talks between Israel and Hamas. These negotiations are vital for achieving a lasting peace. Both sides must be willing to make concessions and engage in honest dialogue. The international community can offer a neutral ground and facilitate these discussions, helping to bridge the gap between the two parties. The road to peace will be long and difficult. There will be many challenges and setbacks along the way. However, the determination and resilience of the people can overcome these obstacles. Peace activists, community leaders, and ordinary citizens all have a role to play in building a peaceful future. But the ceasefire provides a glimmer of hope. It is a small but significant step towards a brighter future. The sight of children playing, the calm skies, and the smiles on people's faces are all signs of what is possible. Hope is a powerful force that can drive change and inspire action. It is a chance to build a better future for both Israelis and Palestinians. A future where both communities can coexist peacefully, where children can grow up without the shadow of war, and where the wounds of the past can begin to heal. This fragile peace is an opportunity that must be seized with both hands.